You are now at the round table with Lenny S, Maya the Brazilianaire, and Big Mike.
Okay, everybody, on with the show!
Take a seat and tune in.
Yo, my nigga, what up? What's good, y'all? It's Raekwon the Chef, man. And I'm hanging out at the round table with Lenny S, Maya B, and my man Big Light. You know what it is, man. Rock me TV, nigga. Don't shrink that screen, man. Word up.
Once again, we back live. We on the motherfucking round table.
Yeah.
Lenny S, Maya B, and I'm Big Light.
Yeah.
And at the table, the legend Raekwon the Chef.
Yes, sir.
And we just was talking about
Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we talk about actually like how was it? Because there's not. I mean, there was 8 official members, right? But then there was also, you know, Killer Army, Sons of Man. You guys had a huge following. What were the relationships like when you guys first started? When you were first like forming Wu-Tang, was there like somebody you clung to more than somebody else?
Nah, we always, one thing about us when Wu-Tang was formed, we always praised RZA for that. You know, because we looked at it at the same token like this is a man that really believed in what he can do and what he could do for us as a family. So we always looked at him like boss, like, yo, boss. You know, we had no problem with picking him up in the air and making him feel like that because he was turning us into something different. He was turning us into something different. And we all had a relationship with RZA. It wasn't never I would talk to somebody else, you know what I mean? It was always RZA and ODB, God bless the dead, that was always together.
Right.
You know, so when I wasn't doing my little typical scrambling, running from the cops and shit, I would make it my business to go chill with them. Because it's like I'd rather be, while the block is hot, I'd rather be hanging with these niggas on some music shit.
Right.
You know, so I could definitely say that I had a super relationship with RZA way before it even actually got started.
So when did you realize you had the gift to be this nice?
I mean, Light, it was just fun, man. I didn't care about that. I mean, I knew how to do it, but I wasn't into it like that. You know what I mean?
You know, for me, there was different level of rappers. Always was, especially during the mixtape game.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is, I'm keeping it real. You was nice. You understand?
Thank you, my
You know what I'm saying, though. I'm going back to the beginning right now.
Right.
I'm saying, like, there was fundamentally differences between different rappers even back then. And I could see it because I was orchestrating these tapes.
Right.
You, like, with the mixtape game, was mostly better than everybody. You was the best out of the team. You connected immediately to that uptown shit. Like, what I'm saying is, I recognize you was nice. And there's a difference between just being a nigga on the mic and being nice. Like Melly Mel, although it was nice. You was nice.
I mean, I feel like I blame that being nice to the niggas from the early 90s, I mean the early 80s music. You know what I mean? Like I said, you know, I know about the Rooftop. I know about, you know what I mean, S&S and, you know, these certain places or whatever. We used to go through these spots back in the early days or whatever. I'm talking about 15 years old. I used to have my little Polo Goose and I got to go to Harlem. I got to go uptown and see the Jettas looking like Benzes. And, you know, so I was definitely familiar with the style that hip-hop was presenting, and I knew where the spots was. And all that, I blame all that on what I know now. You know what I mean? You know, like I said, you know, I like the notorious rappers in the game, the niggas that wasn't going super platinum and doing all the crazy shit. Like I said, we grew up on Kane, Rakim, Rick, you know what I mean, G-Rap, Biz, Salt and Pepper, you know what I mean? All of them, to me, I'm an abomination of that because I wouldn't listen to nothing else. Ain't nothing else matter to me but that kind of music. So I'm just a replica of that.
Was there any animosity in other group members who, let's say, weren't as successful as maybe you or Meth or Ghost or RZA?
Yeah, I mean, you always gonna have that. You know what I mean? I'm gonna keep it 100. Like, yo, that's just part of being a part of a group, a family, whatever you want to call it. If one is doing better than the other, you know, the other one start feeling like, you know, like you sucking yourself. Or whatever. So that's normal. But
did anybody ever felt like they should have get a piece? Like they
hell yeah. I mean, even to today,
was there splits on personal shit? Like you did side shows by yourself, or you did your little thing that you hit anybody off, or you was like, yo, nah, this
no, ain't nobody hit me off. Fuck out of here. I mean, just overall. I mean, see, this the thing, man. When we came with the 8 niggas in the crew, we automatically knew that that was an abomination move. You know, having 9, 8, 9 dudes in one group, you're gonna have a beef one day.
Right.
You know, but at that time we was on we listening to RZA. You drive the bus, we gonna sit in the back. You know what I mean? And that's how I always been. That's how it always was with us, is that, you know, whatever RZA say, we gonna respect. But I don't actually have to agree with what everybody else is saying.
Right.
You know, so we would have back and forth drama about, yo, you know, Meth album coming out first or whatever. But then after a while, we would all understand the logistics of the power moves we making. So, all right, yeah, I get it now. But at first, you always gonna have to, hold up, why the fuck he gotta come first? Or whatever. But we was so much on some strategy shit, trying to get our own shit together, trying to rep this Allen place that we love. We had to sacrifice certain moves, and that was to really be quiet and just let RZA rock the bus.
Right.
But it was always them little kind of shits.
It also speaks for itself with RZA, because as you can see, he's always been like a head.
Yeah.
Because look what he did. Look where he headed.
I mean, he took niggas off the block. I ain't gonna never, you know, go against that. You know what I mean? Like, I even thank him to this day, because that's the type of dude I am. Regardless of whatever we go through, I still appreciate you, my nigga, because you swept me off the streets and made me legal.
Right.
Because that was always the shit. Yo, I want to be legal.
Right.
I'm tired of running from the police. I'm tired of selling crack, staying up all night or whatever. If you can help me and you feel you in that direction to help me, I'm forever grateful to you and loyal to you behind that.
There was always like some rumors though that RZA was like withholding money from the rest of the crew. And
Yeah, typical regular shit that go on in the game, you know. Every crew. And you know, at that time, we was very blind to the business side. You know, we didn't care. Like I said, a stupid kid, wild kid back then. You know, and we wasn't worried about that. We thought in our hearts that we would never have these issues with one another.
Right.
You know, because, you know, my thing is before money, loyalty.
Right.
You know, if it's loyalty there, then I don't give a fuck. I'll sign anything you tell me to sign if I know that we loyal to one another.
Right.
So when all that shit started to kick in, it just seemed like the odds was against RZA.
Right.
And, you know, I always would come to him and be like, yo, it's so ironic that everybody's lawyers feeling like you serving us.
Right.
So, all right, get up here and justify this to us, and then make us, and then prove to us that we wrong on what we feeling.
Right.
So, you know, a lot of times it was always the bullshit, you know, the half-stepping answers, and, you know, not really making dudes feel comfortable with what it was. So after a while, you know, like I said, it's all about the work ethic with us. Once we put that work ethic down and you find out you being treated a certain kind of way, that's going to cause some drama in the crew.
Okay.
And that's what happened. You know what I mean? RZA was under a lot of scrutiny by us with that. We always would keep it real. But, you know, being upset and being mad is two different things. We was just upset.
Right.
If we was mad, we wouldn't have been fucking with him.
Right.
Because, you know, you ain't going to fuck with nobody who you feel is robbing you or whatever. And, you know, his thing was like, nah, I ain't got to do that to y'all. Like, it's not about that with me. And, you know, I know RZA's heart.
Right.
You know what I mean? He probably wasn't intentionally thinking like that, but at the same token, if everything is not looking the way it's supposed to be, you got to justify for that as a general.
Well, in that time, he had producers cut. He had part of every cut. He ate
ate
more than anybody.
He definitely ate more than anybody. You know what I mean? And we wasn't mad at that. You know, my thing is just recognize what we did as a whole. You know what I mean? It's like RZA had the beats, we had the rhymes.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm not going to sit here and act like we didn't bring nothing to the table.
Right.
And that always been a lot of the conversation is like, we don't give a fuck what you did. All right, but at the same time, you didn't do it alone.
Right.
And you know when it comes time to dealing with crews and all of that, you know, you're going to have these issues. So you got to prepare yourself for these kind of situations. Right. And he just wasn't preparing himself because he kind of thought that everybody was just in love with him on some other shit.
Right.
But when it came to that business, it's like, yo, B, we already put in our work.
Right.
Now, if a nigga hears something is the matter, we gonna address you about it.
Right. All right, we're gonna be right
Let's
back.
come back and come up to date with what he got going on now, and Cuba Links too, and everything he got.
Right.
Raekwon the Chef, y'all. He's right by the beat, Big Jeff.